Probably Josue Pavon, maybe Sherrod Blakely. It's one of those snowy Super Bowl Sunday, Valentine's weekend-y sort of days.
Oh, that's why Jimmy's not here.
Yeah, Mr. Smooth. I know there's already 600 or so of you guys were waiting for this show to start. So obviously, a lot of people watch the game. Super Bowl be damned, and obviously a lot of interest in the team. The second game since the trade deadline, which looked pretty ugly after the first half, but they righted the ship. It's really hard to not point to the defense there in the second half. Shots didn't fall in the first half. They started to fall in the second. But again, this is the second time in as many games. They put the clamps down in the second half. 40 held the Hawks to 40 points. Last game was 42 points in the second half. So this is back-to-back wins since the trade deadline. Celtics are rolling. They're the 6th seed now in the East. They are out of play-in territory for the first time in a long time. So just Bobby's at the Garden here in the darkness, hiding out a little bit. But behind all of that is Bobby, I swear. What were your thoughts, first impressions?
I'm super impressed by what they're doing in these second halves. Everything you mentioned right there.
Yeah.
They dropped off the amount of points that the Hawks scored, starting with 28, which wasn't even that bad in that awful first.
It wasn't bad.
Goes down to 27, 23, and then 17, edging out a team 18-17 in a fourth quarter like that. It's super impressive. It feels like, just scanning the Twitter lines here, that they're starting to catch some national attention, too, for what they're doing on that end. The closing lineup that they're able to put out there with the two good defensive guards, the two big wings, and Rob in the middle. It's stifling right now. And listen, they were awful offensively, I thought, in that fourth. They still were able to scrap out enough possessions on the defensive end to get this done. Rob around the net was super impressive. Tatum locking up Young on switches was phenomenal. This is a formula for winning right now, and they're doing it against really good teams. A big-time offense, 30 points from Young, 26, I believe it was, from Bogdanovich in this one. Jokic played at an MVP level in that game, and they're still disrupting these guys.
Yeah,
just
again, I'm not going to
buy.
Yeah, and I don't want to draw it out every time, but again, they're catching some breaks along the way. Again, you're obviously playing a Denver team that's banged up. They haven't been without Murray all year. You miss Collins today, which certainly makes an impact and does make a change. But again, you play the teams in front of you. You're not gonna, Brooklyn had literally nobody. So it is what it is in that regard. But they're winning, these games, and it's 8 in a row now, 10 of 11. And again, it's still the defense. The thing is, and they're surviving it right now, which is good. You are worried, Bobby, against like a full team that's operating on all cylinders with a premium offense, if they can keep up. Because when you have shooting nights like this, again, they're able to overcome, again, the second straight really bad Jaylen Brown game. Derek White, a honeymoon lasted a full game. He still did some nice things tonight, but he's 2 of 10 from three-point land. If this was his debut tonight, people would be like, wait a second, what? This guy, 10 friggin' three-point attempts, you'd be, there'd be an overreaction to that. And again, a lot of these were good looks, and some of them were late in the clock looks where there was nothing else you could do. So you're not going to bemoan the attempts, but you're going to look overall at the shooting of this team and say, that could be a problem. Again, though, when they put the clamps down on defense like they do here, the defense turns to offense. It solves a lot of problems, and they're able to get away with it. And, they really took control of the game late, but the shooting is still a thing that's going to worry you throughout. And there's really not a solution for it, because Ime's clearly not going into the bench. He's not going to Nesmith. He's not going to Hauser, and he's not playing Pritchard, premium minutes here.
Yeah, Pritchard gets some opportunities to sneak in some shots there. He's still not hitting in these limited minutes, which is rough because they got to sneak it in anywhere they can.
Yeah.
Now, Brown can give it to you. Tatum, on a night like this, is enough, probably.
That's the thing, is like when Tatum
he was volcanic,
that,
yeah.
Both ends.
He finally broke out of that lull he's been in for a game and a half here and just looked like the best player on the court in the third quarter there. Going at Okongwu in particular, who gave him fits in that last game, was super impressive. Dunking on him to end that third quarter, shooting right over him to begin the fourth. Those were all big buckets from him. And when the Hawks really went on a run there in the second quarter, he kind of staggered it with a bunch of buckets in the second there too. Shot making from Tatum is going to be everything for this group, but like you talk about, John, because of the fact that they don't have the shooters at other positions. And I thought he was tremendous. Probably had a 7-8 assist game in terms of quality passes.
Tatum
and
was
everybody
playing well.
just missed them. Yeah.
Yeah, Tatum was playing well even before the shots started going down. That's one of the differences between him and Brown, I think, a lot of times, is
He
Tatum
can have a
on
good
his
game in spite of
on his bad
scoring
shooting nights. Sometimes he still does a lot of other things well. And I tweeted it, you mentioned it. He put the clamps on Trey a couple of times when he switched over on him, caused a turnover that one time where he was just stuck out at an island on him by himself. He made some great defensive plays, had a block. Was moving the ball, passed out of doubles fairly quickly. He did a ton of stuff, and then the shots started falling. Jalen, on the other hand, isn't doing that as much. He's not impacting the game as much when he's not scoring. So that's kind of, you can see the disparity between them. Josue jumping in. What's up, buddy? Your first
what's going
first
on, guys?
tonight. What's happening?
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Bobby was saying. I mean, you can also talk about the way that I felt like just the second half in general. I mean, obviously the third quarter we made a difference, but in my opinion, it was also Tatum finding ways to be effective on the defensive end. Being more active, where he doesn't go into that. I don't know. We used to call it pouty Tatum, whatever it was, where he's not getting his calls, he's not getting his way, the shots aren't falling. I think we've moved past that, And obviously, that's a big difference for this team because you're seeing that in my opinion, on the defensive end. And in the second half, it was just sort of like, let's just keep doing what we're doing, and the shots will fall. And that's what happened with Tatum. He didn't force the issue. He wasn't chucking up shots. He wasn't playing ISO ball. And I feel like the way this team is, the culture in it, just disallows that. It's almost the Celtics have almost reached a point where they'll feel very uncomfortable if someone tries to, start jacking up shots or try to, take matters into their own hands. And we haven't really seen much of that, and that's a good thing.
Let me ask you this real quick. I put up this comment. There's a few people here saying it. I don't want to go there because every time I do, everyone's like, oh, can't we just enjoy the wins? And yes, you can enjoy the wins. But instead of saying, was this a good win against a Hawks team that's right now playing below expectations and without one of their key players, what would be a good win at this point in this Eastern Conference, because right now, who's left? Yes, absolutely. Chicago's been banged up too. Cleveland is Cleveland. Brooklyn's been.
This is the rest of your schedule.
I mean, your schedule is kind of like this, right?
Right.
I mean, I know you have Philly. I know you have Philly coming up, and that's obviously going to be a huge one. But like everybody's a little banged up right now. Like there's no one out. I don't know who you're calling unless you beat Phoenix right now. Which is not on their schedule.
They did.
And they did, I know, but they were down Ayton and one other, right?
They had the two guys.
And Paul. They were down Ayton and Paul.
No, they had Paul.
And plus New Year's.
Oh, they did.
New Year's Eve feels like 3 months ago. You know what I mean? Like this team is way far past that.
But like everyone's it's not a good win. Like what would be a good win? These are pretty good wins,
Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say the reason why I think it feels that way is because they had to play uphill a bit, right? I mean, the same thing that we saw a couple of nights ago where they were down by 10, and maybe they just the Celtics are sort of the fans have been spoiled with these blowout wins over those teams that you should be crushing, over the bottom feeders of the league.
You're supposed to.
And you go up against a short-handed Hawks team. Yeah. I guess fans just want to see a dominating performance from start to finish.
But I like these.
I like them too, John.
I like games where you play like ass for half a game for the half.
I had no confidence
through intensity and focus and defense. They completely took it over. Yeah,
I wouldn't word it that way, John. But I mean, I just feel like falling from behind. I mean, yeah, they didn't look great, but at least they're not like completely out of it. I feel like the defense is keeping them into games, and also in the second half when you see that turnaround, you're seeing the Celtics face adversity, but in a way that it didn't come as easy as it would for other teams, right? Putting together 6 stops in a row in that quarter, like that's right. That's huge. Like that's dominating.
People keep saying it. It's hard not to acknowledge that. Yes, along the way on this streak, there's been some teams that have had nobody available, some really bad teams in general here, but you've also beaten them by 30 something. Okay. So and then you play a couple of games where you're not anywhere near peak performance against quality opponents, even if they're down a guy, and you still win those games when you're integrated. They played last night. I mean, they played 2 nights ago with like 7 guys. I mean, they're playing a short rotation. They haven't filled everything out. They're integrating people into their thing, and they're still winning these games without what you would consider an A+++ effort. I mean, I don't know what more you want necessarily at this point. These are good. I think these are good wins.
These are great opponents, and look at
and these are good opponents. These are good wins. I know people kind of ask it and we kick it around. Yeah.
You versus the MVP and one of the MVP,
Right.
probably top 10 MVP candidates in Trae Young here. And you got good performance from both of them against you. They were tough to stop here. Early on in these games, those guys were giving you fits, scoring in buckets, scoring in, stretches there. And I just read this on the Twitter line here. The Hawks and Nuggets had top 4 offenses over the last 15 coming into these games. They were averaging 116 points a game between them. And the Celtics had both to 100, under 100 here.
They outplayed the Celtics completely. So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and this game was going like that, too. Go down double digits early. Great third quarter. The fourth quarter, everyone starts fumbling the ball at the beginning, but they got back on their feet.
Would you believe I had faith the whole time, Bobby? I know you were down. I actually thought they were going to – I even in the first half, I thought they were going to win this game.
Oh, Bogdanovich was scoring so much. Young was pulling Rob, and the rebounding issues, I thought they were done in that second.
I liked it. I don't think Atlanta.
Gallinari disappeared. Like, where was he today? Like, he was a killer.
He's
for the
a
Celtics,
shell of himself.
Against the Celtics. Yeah, that's true, Bobby. But lately, he's been, he's been something that they can rely on, and he lit the Celtics up.
There's nowhere to go. His game is finding a mismatch and shooting over guys. There's nowhere to go here. There isn't.
So that's the difference now, right?
This is what is just great about this team and this rotation. Listen, I'd like to see Pritchard get mixed in. Neesmith shooting could help them. But right now, they have a rotation where there's no weak links on the defensive end. And that's rare on an NBA team. Almost every team has guys you can go at. Look at the Hawks and Young. And listen, once Hunter went off the floor with those foul troubles early in the third, their defense just melted like butter. Oh, the Celtics scored on 10 of the next 11 possessions. And Atlanta's defense just continues to hamper them. I don't like where that team's going. And I was stunned that they didn't make any moves at the deadline. So here's the thing when you talk about the schedule, John, and the week stretch coming up here. They played tough games early in the year. They played a lot of road games, tough opponents through that streak. Now they're on the other side of that. They're going to be playing like maybe 4 or 5 tough teams the rest of the schedule. And you talk about injuries, guys sitting down with some pain. That's normal for this part of the year. So they're going to win so many games through the end of the year here. I've said this, and I know Josue feels this way too. They're going to be a home court team in the East. They are. Like, the schedule is just so easy. Other teams have brutal stretches to close the year. Miami, I know in particular. They're going to sneak past one of these teams here in the top half. And that sets you up with a home court first round series, a weaker opponent. I know it's weird this year with like Atlanta and Brooklyn being on the bottom half, but this is setting up well for them here.
The schedule makes a difference. You have Brooklyn coming up twice. I don't know what's happening in terms of who's going to be playing, but you have 2 games.
One of them's
coming up.
A Brooklyn game with no Irvin.
One of them's a no Kyrie game, obviously, on Thursday. Bobby will be down at that one. And then you do have Atlanta again coming up. You've got Memphis. You do have Brooklyn here. So that's going to be a Kyrie game, assuming, he doesn't chicken out. Charlotte. You do have Golden State. You have another with Denver, Utah, Miami. There are a few on the schedule.
That West Coast.
You don't know what's going to happen, but the last 3 games, if those teams are playing for anything, is a real murderer's row. Those last 3 games, Memphis, Milwaukee, and I forget who.
Chicago, I believe.
Chicago.
That's a tough one.
So that's a couple tough ones. So there are some on here. You're going to see a couple of games here where you're going to be like, all right, full strength versus full strength to get a better sense of stuff. But I mean, you're Philly on Tuesday. So, you're going to feel good no matter what, the Phillies had your number.
It's a brutal matchup for them now.
Yeah. It's a tough matchup. What's the Harden situation?
He's playing, I believe.
So
it's
Harden's
expected to be his debut.
And what about Simmons?
Expected.
And Simmons, I haven't heard anything.
It hasn't been clear, but obviously he's under after everything he's been through this season. I wouldn't be surprised if they give him a bit more time here. But
I don't think he'll play until after the break. But that game is after the break.
I would guess. Well, that's the thing, Bobby. Yeah, I was going to say that one's after the break, but I would guess maybe depending on how those days go during the break, it's going to really be up to him.
Have you heard anything on that, John? I haven't heard a thing about Simmons.
Nothing,
when he's
not
playing.
A thing. Nothing.
Yeah, that's very strange.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm interested to see, what kind of juice they'll have when, what kind of juice Harden's going to have after last we saw him, just kind of walking around on the court during that West Coast trip.
Listen, I
But
see the chat
Oh, he's gonna
freaking
go
out.
off. I think he goes off. You guys don't think so? I think he's gonna be one of those.
I think he's
like,
going to go off. Yeah.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
show you guys. I'll show you guys. This thing's gonna work out, and Philly's gonna
You
love
see
it.
the defiant photo him and Maury posted on the
Oh
runway?
man, no, that if they dropped the mixtape, that would be the cover. Like they were just stunting. That's Maury being like, look,
Listen,
checkmate, everybody.
A lot of apologies are due to Maury for sure. I think everyone was ripping him after a certain point with the Simmons situation there.
I said hold out. I said hold. I would have held.
I was
a gamble.
GM.
I think he should have added Woj on that pick. That would have been fun.
I would have made the Jeremy Grant trade. I would have done LeVert and Sabonis. I would have done Collins.
This is one of those wink like
LeVert and Sabonis, though. You think that was? I don't know.
Listen, there was some good stuff out there. I would have done a lot of those deals, and he got.
No,
Harden.
I mean I would have too. But you think that was real? I don't know if that was real.
I wonder at what point the Harden thing became obvious, because I don't know when James made up his mind, but somewhere in there he probably did.
Well,
real quick, hold on.
I think his people open their mouths.
Yeah. Yes. Just want to inform people here in the chat. A bunch of you are already in there now. I see people actually double posting both on our chat.
I got to check in with you guys after this game, man, for sure.
We've joined Discord, so we have and again, if someone can put the link up for us here in the chat, there's a specific invite link to get into the CLNS Discord server, and that's where we are, and we're hanging out, and we've been chatting. We pop in and out. We were in and out during the game. Josue's a little too cool for it, so I wouldn't count on him, but Jimmy's been in there a lot.
Busy weekend. I'll be there tonight or today.
Jimmy's been in there a lot. Bobby and I have jumped in and out. Sherrod is in there from time to time, and just kind of a place where you guys can hang out and chat. Little Celtics community. Keep it clean. Be nice to each other. And just go in there and kind of chat it up and talk basketball. We'll probably pop in a little bit after this show and just get your thoughts and hear from you guys. And as I've said before, we probably will continue on doing some Twitter spaces from time to time. I think Tuesday is as good a time as any with the Philly game. We might hop in and do something there as well. So just keep an eye out for those things, but just more ways to kind of get involved in the chat, hear from some of the guys on the Garden Report, share your thoughts with one another. So just hop in there. Again, that invite is there, I think, in the chat. You guys can just click that link and jump on in. Josue, sorry, you were going on here.
No, I was just saying my last 2 cents, I guess, about the James Harden or the Maury situation and how I mean right now I feel like he's doing his victory lap, with the picture and with the I call like a checkmate post, being like, look, I got it, I got my guy. A lot of people didn't think it would happen, including one of the biggest NBA insiders around, and Woj, and I think there was definitely those vibes when he posted that picture. I don't think it was a hey, welcome to Philly type thing. I think it was more of a I got him,
Yeah. For sure. And, there's connections to the front office there, too, whether it's Meek Mill or whatever, and friends of Harden's, who I'm sure did some work there. But it's going to be interesting for sure. That is a matchup that gives Boston fits right now. And I saw Tatum solve this to some degree in this game. Onyeka Okongwu is a great defender. He's not Joel Embiid in the paint per se, but it was nice to see him get downhill and attack a guy who's a good rim protector there. Embiid and that drop are just killing the Celtics this year. 2 years ago, you could knock it down with Kemba and others. They all could hit threes around screens. This year's team, where the driving kicks aren't working for them, those step around plays where you pull up around screens aren't working great for the Celtics team. Those are what you need to beat the 76ers, is Embiid is just sitting in the post. And, that's not changing. You can probably catch them trying to figure out the chemistry between Harden and Embiid Tuesday, which I'm sure is going to be a concern for the short term there. But that defense that Philly plays is the worst kind of thing that the Celtics could run into in a first round series or anywhere in the playoffs, because they don't have great finishers. They're big guys, and they don't have much shooting to counteract that. And that's still the big weakness on this team.
Yeah. One thing from the last game they played, it was a disappointing game overall, because we remember that was
they got crushed.
Well, that was the one they just got blown out of the building in the first quarter, with a massive Philly run. And then they kind of hung in there and played them close to even the rest of the way, but it was over early. The one teeny positive was Embiid didn't go off and Rob didn't embarrass himself. And that's the key to that, because again, disciplined Rob, this year's Rob, the one that doesn't leave his feet on everything, the one that doesn't hack every single play, that guy when he's getting 3 and 4 fouls. And also obviously you have Horford here who can bang with Embiid. I think it makes a difference. Throwing Tice into the mix if he's playing, I think helps.
Yeah, I think so
as well. So you've some bodies to throw at him
you
now,
can put
which is
Smart on Harden too. I'm not worried
a
about
little
the
better.
defense.
So
I'm worried about the offense.
Yeah, I am too. Obviously, and they've got guys who can kind of lock you up there. So, I mean, the offense, the Celtics, I mean, the Knicks, the Sixers defense takes a massive hit with Harden in there, playing 30 plus minutes a game. So that changes the overall complexion of what they're able to do defensively.
It does too, because they're not going to switch
a lot. So they're not going to switch, right? And so you've got. Now you can hunt some matchups there. You can try to get him in the pick and roll, do whatever. It's not the same, obviously, Simmons didn't play all year, but that Simmons, Tybal, Embiid sort of lineup, like, oh my goodness, that's defensively, that's a freaking nightmare. But now it's a different team. It's going to take on kind of a different identity with Harden.
You know what else too? I think
I'm curious to see how that goes for the Celtics.
I think it forces Philly to play defense at a higher level, right? I mean, at the end of the day, whether you're talking about Harden and trying to keep up and switches, they don't have Thybulle in there in the mix anymore. Offensively, you don't have that knockdown 3-point guy you can chuck the ball at. Seth Curry, who's been phenomenal this year. Wow, I just said phenomenal. I never said
phenomenal.
Look what you guys are doing to me. I think those obviously if you're Philly, you trade that for a guy like Harden any day, but in a fourth quarter situation, when it comes down to it, I mean, who can the Celtics muster up enough stops to catapult a win? I mean, that's going to be interesting to see how they do things in the fourth quarter. Is this going to be a James Harden type of led team that we've seen in the past, which reportedly was the biggest issue Harden had with his old team? But now that he's in Philly or with Brooklyn, now that he's with Philly, it's gonna be interesting to see how they do things, how they let him.
It is also, this could go bad.
Someone mentioned it has to be pointed out, and someone mentioned in the chat here that last time was a non-Marcus Smart game as well.
Yes,
and
that's
you
a great point.
You played 20-something Peyton Pritchard minutes that game, and Schroeder started. So, just everything was out of sync with the Celtics. I mean, and they came out, and it was just...
And Schroeder had 1 point. That's why he got mad at Gary for bringing that shit up.
It was over early in that one.
Yeah.
And it was that was a really bad game. It was Schroeder's 1-point game. And what's funny is that was Schroeder's only bad game in a 5 or 6 game stretch. Came back, bounced back the next game. Gary asked the question in the post game, why have you been inconsistent? He's like...
Flipped out.
It's like, man. But yes, 1 point from your starting point guard.
Philly?
No Smart. Yeah, that was a rough one. That was a rough one for him.
Yeah, it was a brutal game. And you caught them in a close game earlier in the year where Tatum had a big shot at the end over Thybulle there. So you're a team that can hang with them. Certainly on the perimeter, if Tobias Harris isn't doing anything, and he is so hit or miss at this point in his career, you do have the talent to stack up with them at the top 2 spots there. If Brown can figure this out, and we got to talk about Brown. Like, what is going on there right now?
Good. I'm glad you brought it up, because when I do, everyone gets mad at me. But what is going on?
I thought he was horrible these last 2 games.
Okay, Bobby's the one saying it, everybody.
Yeah,
horrible. He's out of sync. Yeah, I think so.
He bails on the ball so quick when he's in those catch and quick decision situations now, and he is talking right now in a presser. It's been tricky.
He started spazzy, right? He started all over the place, loose, back-to-back possessions with the turnovers. And then I thought kind of checked himself a little bit, and then didn't do a lot at all, because I think he noticed he was out of sorts, and it just never got it going. Never.
No, and I don't know what you're seeing, Josue, because there was a good run from him on the ball where he was starting to make plays a little bit when other guys were out. It was mixed, but he was doing some good things there. Then when he got off the ball, he was moving around some screens, and they were getting him some good catch and drive opportunities. Now, I feel like it's a mix of corner Jalen and too frantic, quick decision Jalen in those spots, which is tough because this is where he has succeeded in the past, and now he looks like a mess in that area too.
The easiest thing to point out, it's literally been the Jalen the arc of his career just follows his ability to handle the ball. And he started sloppy, took him a couple of years, each year incremental improvements. Last year, he came out of the gate and he looked like he had it on a string, completely transformed. There'd still be times where he'd get a little loose with it, but totally different. And we saw him, dribbling in tight spaces, holding onto the ball, and getting to the basket. But he was so confident in his handles, he's lost it completely. He's gone back 3 years in this regard, and that's what's killing him right now. And without that confidence, I think he loses all of his confidence offensively because
it's not even dribbles though; it's decision making. Like
it's
trying
both.
To get the ball
but
out
I mean,
of the backcourt there.
4 times tonight at least. He did that old Jalen thing where he drives somewhere with no idea what's going to happen, jumps, looks around, and just throws it back out to the 3-point line.
Do you remember that play late in the Nuggets
once
game?
Was
too?
A turnover. I think a couple of times it found other people, but he's been doing that a ton lately.
It's like 50-50 when he does that, though, John. Yeah.
Every time he goes up, he's like, I can jump high, so I'm going to jump as high as possible, look around and see if I can find somebody. Right.
Yeah. Right.
That's like year one stuff with him. That's what's so weird. Because last year he was ridiculous. He was so much better in every aspect.
I think it was more in the open space last year, though, John. Right? I think that's the difference. I mean, in transition, when he has the open floor,
he was doing it in half court too, Josue. He was doing everything last year.
Yeah, but I just think this year he's been sort of forced to make a decision quicker, which is what this offense needs. And I think that he did a really good job.
Obviously, that's a good point, Josue.
When he had that tremendous stretch, and it's just like, look, Ime's hammering the message, guy, get rid of the ball. It's like what John always says, you'll get it back, don't worry. But you also have to make those decisions quicker. And I think that was a big issue for Jalen pretty much since last season or 2 seasons ago. It's been something he's been working on.
There was a play tonight where White was cutting. Brown had the ball, didn't find him. I think his head was down in the corner. He sort of took the ball in and then back out to the right wing, and he launched up a 3. This was actually early in the 4th. And those are definitely situations where he thrives in the pass when he's kind of just sizing defenses up and attacking. And the quicker decisions, as you talk about, Josue, which they've moved toward, Horford, Rob, Tatum, Smart, White, all those guys are capable of that. That's really where he struggles. And now their defensive identity too, I'm thinking he hasn't been a great defender for a while here, especially in the off-ball situation. Struggled against Denver. There were moments tonight where he got caught against some ghost screens and other stuff. Suddenly, Jalen, with this identity that they're trying to take on now on this new team, he's suddenly a bad fit on both ends of the ball here, which is concerning. And we've seen it play out over the last 2 games pretty tremendously here. Like, he isn't going to have the ball in his hands a lot. He's going to be in off-ball situations a lot on defense, and those are not his strengths.
Well,
he's got to adapt.
Here's my thing with Jalen, and this is where it's frustrating, is it's not only game-to-game inconsistency with him, it's within-game inconsistency. Sometimes the stat line at the end of the night will look good, but he only did it for about a 7-minute stretch where he went off and was not really impacting the game either in no way at all, or in these wild kind of moments where he's, flipping the ball around with turnovers. So there's not enough periods in the game where he's the most impactful player that he could be. And I feel like he plays one lights out quarter every 2 games, and then other times that's what's killing you. Is a lot of times you look at the numbers in the end and everyone's gonna be like, dude, bad game, 17 points. What did Jaylen Brown do? How many things did Jaylen Brown do tonight that you're like, wow, that was enormous? Like a couple for sure.
I don't know where he fits in.
So I don't know what's happening now because, it's like, I don't know. It's odd. It's an odd thing because there are times he disappears and doesn't touch the ball when Tatum's going off or whatever. And then there's other times he tries to force the issue and gets sloppy with it.
Now they're playing with pace.
And then there's times where he literally just goes, he gets hot and goes. But you can't complain with the overall style of play of the team. It's a 28 assist night. Every time they're up over 22, 23 assists, their record is outstanding. On the whole, his shot started falling a little bit better in the second half than it was in the first. It was enough. It's just you look at him and you want him up here.
Yeah. I guess the pace is the area that they've played at that he fits pretty well into here. I see the chat freaking out about what I just said there, but I'm not saying he can't. I said
they're making it sound like They're making it sound like you're like, oh, you got to get rid of Jalen now. This ain't gonna
Yeah,
work.
no, that's not what I'm saying.
No,
I'm
Bobby
saying,
loves Jalen. Guys, relax. Everybody relax. Now, he's held to a higher standard because everyone
Yeah.
wants him to be like Tatum, like 1A. He's held to an extremely high standard. It's not a bad thing to say he needs to be a little better. It doesn't mean he's bad.
I'm not saying that he's a bad fit on the Celtics. I'm saying he's a bad fit with what they're trying to do on both ends of the floor right now. A lot of off-ball defensive situations he's put in. On the offensive end, it's quick decisions right now. Everybody's moving the ball on a dime right there. And when he catches the ball in off-ball situations, he's got to know whether to attack or whether to move it to the right spaces there. And right now, you're seeing him turn the ball over. You're seeing him not create quality shots. Look at the shots he took early in the fourth. They were terrible. That forced jumper from the elbow, the drive in the traffic where he just got pummeled there and they lost the ball. It didn't hurt them tonight, but that easily could have set the table for a pretty bad fourth quarter.
I'm so happy it's Bobby doing this and not me right now.
Hey, I'm just saying what I watched. I'm just saying what I watched these last two games here.
Yeah, someone tweeted at me. It's like what Josue says, blinder Jalen. I'm like, hey, he's doing that right now. He's got blinders on a bit offensively, I think.
I'm sorry, everybody. Jalen's played great these last two games.
Bobby, welcome to my life. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think the sky's falling, but I don't think that's what Bobby is saying either. So
I don't think people get what this show is. We talk about what happened right before we got on here. There's no agenda. Jalen's my favorite Celtic. He is, especially Al. That jersey's going to be coming down soon.
Bobby's going right across the street, grabbing a brown jersey, pinning it up over the top of Al, and that's it.
Why you gotta take Al down? Leave Al up there. He's been up there since before. He was still in Philly when you put that up there, man.
I wrote you can never trade Brown earlier in the season. That was my ship here. I'm just keeping it real on what's going on.
I predicted he was going to pass Tatum as the alpha this year. That was my preseason prediction was Tatum, by the end of this year, Brown will be considered the alpha dog on this team. So everybody cool it, man. The guy was brutal past couple of games. We're just talking about it. But yeah, so your Derek White impressions tonight, I know he didn't shoot well.
Oh, man.
But you like what did you like what else you saw?
Yeah, I did. I mean, everyone's, or at least most people were concerned about the 3-point touch. He's been pretty good in these first two outings. But again, this is a completely different situation than what he had in San Antonio. But I thought that sort of helped the Celtics a bit in that first half when they were completely ice cold from back there. You know, I think he was the only one scoring threes until I want to say Tatum finally made one.
He started 2 of 4, and then he missed his next 6.
And then he missed his next 6.
He made the first 2, the only 2 they made at that point, Josue, right?
Yeah. The only 2, and then Tatum made 1. You know, he started to feel it a little bit, and then in the third quarter, he went nuts. So I just think overall, what he means on both ends, I mean, he had a great stop towards the end. I think them limiting Trae Young towards the end was huge. I said to Bobby, I'm like, man, this team we're about 2 Trae Young threes away from this thing being tied up. And I think Ime sensed that, called timeout, regrouped, and I thought that was a great call. They did a good job of stopping him at the rim as well, taking away the 3-point arc. I think he's a big part of that, and I think we'll get used to seeing him a lot towards the end of the games. I think that's when we'll really be talking about him. You know,
I mean,
almost like the way we talk about Smart, what he does at the end of the game. I think
so.
White could be that guy as well. Hold on, Bobby. White could be that guy as well. And then also in the first half, I think White is a great weapon on both ends to help that second unit. And I also think we're going to see Jalen and Tatum, one of those guys out here, you know, 90%, 95% of the game. I think you keep one of those guys in with the second unit. And I think White's your guy to sort of lead that and sort of hold the fort down while the starters are getting their rest.
So my question is, were they going to close with Grant there before him and Rob just started fumbling the ball everywhere?
I thought so. I thought so.
That would have been my question post-game.
I was just about to ask about – I was just about to tweet, like, it looks like Grant is closing this one out instead of White. And then he came in right after that. Yeah.
Yeah, they swapped them there.
It looked like it was getting away. They got down to 6. They threw away. They blew a couple possessions there. And, yeah, maybe they just wanted a little bit more control.
Yeah, that was my
the lineups that have struggled, again, going back to it, when they sub out Tatum and Jalen as the alpha scorer there, those lineups have been the ones where you could see Jalen's like, all right, it's my job now to take over. And that's where things have gotten out of sync. It's where their offense stalls, where they get into ISO a little bit. That's what I noticed tonight. It happened on a couple of occasions.
And when they're ice cold and they're down by double digits, I think that's when he hits the Peyton Pritchard button. You know, I thought he tried to get in there and what is it, 0 for 2 or so? I mean, you take what you can get from Pritchard at that point, but I think he leaned on him a bit
Pritchard's
there to
got
see
to be better.
if he can make a 3 or 2 and just sort of get
I
things
got,
going.
I'm afraid I have news for you, Bobby. There's a reason Peyton Pritchard hasn't played this year. There's a reason Peyton Pritchard's probably not going to be better. It's probably because Peyton Pritchard's not that good. And it just is what it is. Like, I just think he's one of those guys where he might get hot one time and he'll, hit a bunch of shots.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's a guy you're going to rely on for real rotation.
Well, he played
minutes.
a lot last year, and he was
better. Yeah.
He was 6th in the league at his volume in catch and shoot percentage. So he was up there with the Seth Currys and the guys like that last year, Joe Harris's and all those guys shooting like 43% in catch and shoot threes. And it wasn't like 20, it was like 150, 170, something like that. So that's got to come back for him. That's his role right now. He's an off guard in those bench rotations. He's going to play every night. He's got to be better there. But as far as White goes, still quick decisions, still playing well out of the corners, second level drives. That play right before half where Tatum found him and he got downhill and hit Rob with the lob there. That's the kind of stuff he's best at.
Yeah, that was great.
Still had a good game, still factored in the crunch time.
Got it in the corner
Excellent
one
defense.
time, real quick baseline drive, just quick decision making. Like, whether or not he missed his shots, again, he's got a really quick release and a quick trigger. He recognizes it's an opportunity and an open shot. He takes it. You want to see more go down. But the same thing when he decides to go to the basket, there's really no hesitation there. He's a very decisive player.
Yeah, which is good. That's obviously a testament to him, playing 4 years of college and being more of a polished player than some of the other guys in that draft class. But also, Bobby, I mean, the clock is ticking here, and I don't mean that as in like he's going to be, demoted or completely out, but he could be one buyout option away from out of the rotation. Depending on what the Celtics do. Ime spoke about that before the game, said that they're obviously still targeting shooting, something that we talked about a lot. It wasn't necessarily addressed at the trade deadline, so they're going to try to do that through the buyout market. And in the meantime, Pritchard's going to have to make a strong case for himself that he deserves those minutes.
Josue, let me ask you a question though, and both of you. Okay, I mean, it's funny, right? It's they want to address shooting. Okay, in the buyout market. So basically, they have right now on their team Hauser, Nesmith, and Pritchard, and they think they're going to go find 3 other guys who are in street clothes right now that they're going to play ahead of these guys. I don't want to hear we're looking for shooting. There's no way you're going to find NBA caliber people that are going to crack your rotation ahead of the 3 shooters that can't get a freaking minute on this team.
And some Celtics fans, John, they haven't forgiven him for the Matthews cut.
Yeah,
Matthews is shooting what 38%.
Strus, Matthews, right? It's
Strus is another one. Yeah.
You're not gonna, guys. There's no buyout miracle here. It's this is a myth.
JJ needs to come back from retirement. JJ Redick, bring him back.
Every year on the buyout market, there's 1 or 2 guys that everyone's like, I want that guy. And the teams that get them, those guys never make an impact. And those teams are always LA and Miami.
Yeah.
And they never come here, and they never.
Milwaukee's in play this year too.
Milwaukee, but when they do, the teams they go to, they make no impact. None. Yeah. So the Celtics are going to get about the 7th or 8th best guy on the buyout market right now. Don't think that this person's coming in to do anything. This is your team. Just get used to it. And if they want shooting, they have to find a way to integrate the guys, as imperfect as they are. Nesmith, who's friggin' in his own head. Hauser, who can't play a lick of defense. And if you want shooting, you gotta find a way to hide those guys, right?
Yeah.
You got to hide them somewhere to get them out there to get some shooting. And there's certain things they can't do, and you got to put them with lineups where you think you can get away with it. But that's the best you're going to get.
Yeah, to your point, though, he should get a shot here. I'd be surprised if, Hauser doesn't get at least activated, when they finally, after buyout season, make a decision. So I mean, Bobby, if we're talking about shooting and like what John just said, if he may saying that they're going to address that during the who? And if so,
it's got to be Nesmith.
How much of a shot are these guys going to get? Well, no, I mean buyout candidates.
Buyout. I was looking at the names earlier.
It's just not happening. You have better options on your bench right now, so figure out a way to get them in there if you want shooting. That's all I'm saying. The buyout's not saving you. You have shooters. Figure out how to use them.
The only guy I could see is maybe DJ Augustine. He's a guy that can give you some scoring and burst, some shooting off the bench there, especially if you don't feel like Pritchard in a very limited role is going to be able to do that. The thing about these bench guys, John, I keep hearing this argument, oh, you got to give them rhythm. You got to give them a lot of time. You got to get them comfortable. Who does that? What winning team gives a guy 8-9 spots down the
Here's the
rotation
thing, Bobby.
leeway to go out there and get comfortable?
They weren't a winning team until 2 weeks ago. This is a team that played 100, 112, 115 games at 500. Okay, so this was a time you missed it. Last year, you had to find a way to get Nesmith in consistent minutes. To start this year, Nesmith should have been a regular part of that rotation if you wanted anything out of him. If you wanted anything out of him now, you can't do it now.
Yeah,
you have to hope.
And these
you have
guys
to hope in limited minutes he comes in, does something okay, builds a little confidence, and you ride it out. You have to hope it happens organically. But you're right, Bobby. You can't force the issue anymore. It's you're too deep into the season.
They'll have to step in the roles if a guy gets hurt or something, which they will.
Yeah.
You know, if one of the guards go down, all of a sudden Pritchard is a massive part of this team. If one of the wings miss a game or two here or there, probably not. But Nesmith will step in and have a massive role on this.
What
team.
needed to happen last year, I thought, and this was that, and it didn't happen this year. Last year, especially with the tight schedule, they should have had some load management games built in where they just conceded the loss, sat Tatum and Brown, started Nesmith and Romeo, and said, "You're Tatum, you're Brown. I want you each to shoot 25 times tonight. I do not care what happens. Just play." Play with no conscience, play like you did in college, and let them go 6 of 20.
It is amazing that they haven't done that.
And that's what never happened. So every time they're in there, they're like, am I supposed to be here right now? They're around the starters. They know they're auditioning on the fly. It's a really difficult environment for them to get, and they haven't answered the bell. Other people do that, and they respond, and they earn their minutes. These guys haven't. But last year you had shots to do that, and you kind of missed it. It's really hard to do it now. It just kind of it has to happen. The next time Nesmith plays, he has to look okay, and he has to earn those minutes going forward. You can't just stick him in there and say, go, kid.
No, I agree with that, John, completely, especially last year. But I remember you bringing this up like a month ago, and I'm like, it's too late for that. They can't do it this year. And especially for someone like Ime, who's his very first, shot at it, first time with this group. And what if he's like, man, I don't even like that guy. Like, I didn't want this. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to make me start, Nesmith and play him 30 minutes? Like, that's not the message I want to send my team, 1 month or 2 months into my tenure.
It is hard because all these guys aren't great defenders either. Hauser especially. I mean, he would have been a big-time pick if his defense wasn't horrible. Pritchard confronts some guys, so that's why he plays a little bit. And Nesmith still a mess on that end. So the problem is you're going to need these guys in 5 to 10 minutes to come in and hit the 2 to 3 looks that they're going to get, because there isn't, with the style that they're trying to play, Josue, and how they're going to aim to win here, the identity that they form per se, none of those guys fit it. So there isn't a case to play them 15, 20 minutes unless a guy's down. And that's the scary part too here, John. This sustainability of this, if they lose any single guy in the top 7 right now, the 7-man rotation that they're playing, they're screwed. They don't have the depth. None of the guys on the bench have the rhythm to step in the roles, and they haven't developed anything down there. Not to mention the fact that there's no great veteran help coming in from the buyout markers we talked about there. So barring anything insignificant here, they are going to have to grind out games with no shooting, win on the defensive end, play perfect defense every night, and no one can get hurt. And they can't use this excuse. They can't. Oh, we got hurt. Oh, we missed shots. Because they lined up their roster to do this year now. They knew they weren't going to have any shooting past the deadline. They knew that they had no depth if guys get hurt. So that can't be an excuse if any of that stuff happens.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of options here. So, you're rolling with what you have. Teisel helps some. Because
he can shoot a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's been down since he left the Celtics. He's been in the low 30s. He's not really that stretch guy. He's kind of an Al redundancy in that department.
If he's shooting 7 threes, it could get ugly.
He's willing to take them. He's just not knocking them down. Again,
he'll help them in Philly if he plays.
He'll help them because he's athletic, and he can, he's another body. He can knock down some mid-range. He can grab some boards. He can play some defense. I think he'll be all right. He can foul. He's going to
some double big with him.
He can foul.
He's an elite fouler.
He'll be back in that double big mold. I'm almost certain we're going to see some of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no choice. No choice because, again, you've got you have an 8-man rotation and 4 of them are bigs.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's impossible. You're going to get
But,
a lot of it.
let's see if Tristan gets cut loose. He'll be back here.
Don't do that.
Yeah, right.
Don't do that.
He wouldn't
Anyway,
allow
again,
it.
these are problems that they haven't reared their heads yet because they're playing healthy. They've been healthy. The tight rotation is working right now. And Derek White is bringing consistency, and the defense is elite. All of these things are like a bunch of boxes checked. You're going to stay in every game as long as it's going like this. We're talking about what happens if they go down, what happens, if shots aren't falling, and where do you go there? And again, there's just nothing there past 8, on the team.
Yeah,
So
but I
exciting,
think that's it though. Yeah, it is exciting. I mean, obviously seeing them win.
It's
8
a
in row.
puncher's chance now, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you also the backbone of this team is going to be the defense and giving themselves that chance. And also you have the 2 all-stars in Tatum and Brown. So I think that Ime and Brad are like, look, let's roll the dice on this and see what happens. I mean, I don't think they envisioned that the team would be at where they were at the trade deadline, but they did their best in reshaping this roster to help fit their needs, and that's between Tatum and Brown.
Like I've said, this is different. I don't think we've seen anything like what they're trying to do here in recent history. And it looks like they're going to be able to do something with it if all goes right. And they didn't have any way to get into contention this year other than doing what they did here. So I think it's a cool approach. It's unique. And it's all you got right now after the disasters of the last few years and all the talent you've lost. You've given yourself a path to not only have an identity, which we've seen teams like Memphis do in the past that can put you in the picture. This isn't a championship team here, but you do have that high-end talent that makes it a little bit different there, as Josue just talked about. So that's going to be interesting. I think the other thing that's fun about this is that if there is a mishap here and someone goes down or someone has to miss some games, that's all of a sudden like a last-ditch chance for Pritchard and Nesmith, which I wrote about at Celtics blog today. This is it for these guys. Like, this is really their last shot. They got a chance with Richardson, Schroeder, Langford, all those guys getting ripped down in front of them. So it's make or break for them here, and you'll get to make decisions on them in the offseason as well once you start to build next year's team. So everything lines up for this to be the perfect placeholder team and to build some good vibes. I mean, they got a standing ovation walking off the court tonight. When was the last time that happened? Who knows? Probably 2020.
I know you guys are there.
Yeah.
Again,
I mean,
you know what it
eyes
is?
are on the Celtics right now, and I think Super Bowl Sunday sort of reminds everyone of that, I mean, yeah, the Bruins are still around, but it's like, man, we're going to believe in this team, whether
like
we
I
really
said,
do or
some
not.
of my
We're gonna support these guys. Here we go, 8 wins in a row.
You guys have been there all year. Again, I mean, how many times did they get booed off the court at like a half?
Yes.
I mean, but
last year, oh man.
But forget the cheer versus boo ratio. It always came down to effort. They never got booed for having a bad shooting half. Every time they got booed, the fans are really astute, okay? It's a smart fan base. When they watched what was clearly a substandard effort is when they would lose their shit. When they're like, these guys are not into this right now. They're mailing it in. Right now, they're applauding effort. It's pretty consistent right now, and it has been.
They are playing very hard.
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's what people
running,
like. It's
the way
nice.
they're defending.
Night and day over some of those kind of mixed. How many times? I mean, literally, we spent the first 35, 40 games going over not just the games, but the press conferences where everyone's saying, yeah, we didn't have our focus. We didn't play well. We didn't this. We, they're calling each other out. They had like 4 team meetings in the first 25 games. Like, that's just what it was, and it was all around. It was all around focus and effort.
That feels like a long time ago now, that Orlando team meeting, the still mysterious one that was actually a dinner.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's good to have a team again. It is.
It's better, but again, it's not so long ago where this was like, this chat was all trade this guy, fire this guy, I'm done with this guy, and now everyone's like, how dare you say something bad about any of them? I hate you, like
the next game.
Everyone's flipped a switch here.
Yeah, that
what
next
happens,
game was rock bottom.
That's what happens.
They're back on their feet.
That's what happens. I mean,
we have receipts. Plenty of you guys here were like,
go back.
I hate everyone. Tatum's got to go. Brown's got to go.
Even that Portland game.
Pick one and trade the rest of them. All right, just pick one and trade everyone else.
That was a lot of you. Yeah,
that was around Christmas, especially.
Don't listen to the chat. We're lunatics.
We are let's do like 2 seconds on the Super Bowl, just because
No.
I'm interested.
No.
No, I'm good.
Does anybody
Well,
in the
what do
chat
you have? What do you have? And we'll react to what you said.
on a scale of 1 to 10, guys, on the Super Bowl? Or how deeply do you care? Rank this versus this might be my lowest. Like,
People aren't excited.
I
Yeah.
may care less about this game than anyone I can remember in the last 10, 15 years. But then again, the Patriots were in half of them, so
Yeah,
obviously.
that's true.
But anybody here?
Yeah. No, this is the first time where I'm legit more excited about the halftime show than the actual game. I'm that guy this year.
The halftime show is interesting for
Right
sure.
now, it's 0-2-1-1-0-0 in the chat. 8. Joey Burrow.
Someone goes,
It's a good football matchup, though. It is. It's going to be a good
-6.
game.
Yeah.
It's just not the storylines, the star quarterbacks, the marquee franchises.
I think it's going to be a blowout.
You think so? All right. That's what I was looking for there. I don't. But I don't have a good feel for what's going to happen either. So I was just trying to see what you guys have on deck there. Trags is there.
We got Trags there. CLNS is at the Super Bowl. We have Mike Petralia there. He was covering a lot of Patriots angles throughout the week. But he's covering the game here and he's reporting on it. So that's
and I'm off to Philly tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah. And off to Philly.
Be,
so we do have Philly. So, okay, who is bullish about this Philly game? The chat's been kind of all over the place. I like it because I like, generally speaking, just the way the Celtics are playing, just in terms of like a effort and a defense standpoint. And I do think Harden's going to be interesting for Philly to integrate there. So oh, sorry, I just lost one. So I'm not going to predict a win, but I'm not worried about this game. I think the Celtics are going in there. I'm not at all thinking what happened last time as far as this game goes.
Yeah, and I think both teams are, for obvious reasons, they're different. To what we saw the last matchup, and they got a lot to play for. I think, honestly, I think both teams do. Well, especially Philly. I think Philly is sort of the revamped version of themselves. They're going to come out with a lot of energy, of course, a lot of effort. But I also think that the Celtics,
it's going to be a hell of a night.
This is their. When's the last time they faced a team of this caliber? I mean, it's been a while. So
Philly giving themselves a chance to win a championship here with the move they made. That crowd's going to be nuts. And Embiid is playing out of his mind.
He's about to grab that MVP award, in my opinion. So
you might catch him off here. You might catch him off on the first game together. It's awkward. They don't really know how to play with each other there. I'm sure they haven't practiced together at all. You might catch him off, and you're playing really well and connected right now. So there's a chance. You definitely keep it close. I don't think 76ers are going to smash them, but it is a tough matchup. All those jumpers you're jacking against how they play defense are going to add up there. And I do see Philly probably just edging them out there.
We need a Jalen game.
Yeah,
for sure. He's the guy who cracks open the defense, right? And I'll give Jalen this still.
We need a Jalen game.
On an inefficient offense, on a team where you just don't give an F if you shoot 35%, he's a perfect guy for just putting his head down. Maybe he'll turn it over a few times, but he's going to put up 30, 35 that you need there. And he has been good at that this year. Jalen's got to start shooting a lot more. How many did he shoot in this one? It was just like 16, right? I like when he's up at like 20, 25.
6 or 16.
Even that 30 game that he had in the playoffs way back when. I know you guys lost your mind. I was like, I love this. I love when he's aggressive. I love when he's assertive. And that, when he starts seeing it go in the net too, that kind of limits some of the mistakes and the indecisiveness that he has there. He's going to kind of be free to score. I know Ime wants to build him up as a playmaker and make quick decisions, all that stuff. He's this team's scorer. He really is. So he's got to embrace that.
All right, so that's what we got there. We'll wrap it up because we do know there are a lot of you who want to get ready for the game. I've got I've still got some food to make here. So I gotta check in on that. One of these days I'll have you guys over, I promise.
Yes.
And we'll
please.
We'll do it up. Jimmy is there. He's making
such
himself.
A foodie.
I know. Jimmy's doing it up nice.
He's in the Discord.
We'll put some food pics in Discord. Again, just reminding everybody here, join CLNS Media's Discord server now. The link is in the chat, and it's pinned up there. you got to click on that link, jump on in. We're chatting in the Celtics CLNS section. It was supposed to be Garden Report, but we lost control of it early. And that's where people are right now. There's a bunch of people already in there hanging out, chatting. Couple of us will hop over in there and talk about the game. The chat's already going in there. Bobby memes, they're always welcome. Basically, Discord's like 75% Bobby memes right now, which is fine. Keep them coming.
A new hat has been added to the collection. I know
Yep.
people are interested in that.
We do have a
Right
new
here.
hat. Yeah. And that's about it. Again, thanks for hanging. You can tell just basically based on the audience size, people are definitely starting to kind of get into this a little bit. I think obviously the interest leading up to the trade deadline, the fact that they did something and the way they've been playing, people are starting to dig it, starting to, expectations are starting to change. So Tuesday's a huge one. Bobby will be in Philly. Sherrod will be in Philly. Rest of us will be reporting from home, but we'll all be back for that one. So we will see you guys on Tuesday. Again, jump onto Discord if you want to continue the chat. Thanks, everybody. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Happy Valentine's Day. Run out, get some flowers, do whatever. And we'll talk to you guys on Tuesday. Take care.